I'd like to call this meeting of Zion City Council to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Here.
Commissioner McKinney?
Here.
Commissioner Deteen? Commissioner McDowell?
Here.
Mayor Hill?
Here. I'd just like to inform everybody that Commissioner Deteen is ill this evening, and that's why he's not here. Ken Anthony?
Please join me in prayer. Father God, we come to you this evening as we prepare to do business for our city, Lord. I would ask that you would be upon each and every soul that is in this room this evening, Lord. That you will still their hearts and minds, that you would fill them with a gentle spirit that is prepared to do business, yet do so in a way that is loving towards one another, Lord. I ask for our leaders, Lord, that you would watch over them, that you would guide them to make wise decisions that are of benefit to all that live in our community, Lord. Most of all, Lord, we pray for our nation. We lift it up to you, and we ask that in this time of severe strife that you would still the hearts and minds of those that are so divided, that you would bring a working upon them, that they would calm themselves, and that they would turn to you for guidance, Lord. We ask now that as we do business, Lord, that you would be glorified in all that occurs here this evening. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item number 4 on the agenda are agenda changes. Do any of the commissioners have changes to the agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
So moved.
A motion and a second. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item number 5 is a special presentation regarding the Animal Control Commission. Lisa Weichel.
Good evening. I'm going to attempt to speak to you tonight. I've lost my voice, but I am speaking on behalf of the new Animal Control Commission. Thank you, Mayor Hill and Commissioners, for allowing me to speak tonight. On November 6th, the Animal Control Commission was voted on and 4 citizens were appointed to the commission, I being one of them. We held our first meeting on November 15th, and I was elected to be the commission chairperson. Commissioner McDowell made a detailed presentation during the November 6th City Council meeting. He outlined the reasons for the commission, the steps that have been taken since the July City Council meeting where a lot of the original concerns were brought forth, and he briefly outlined the commission's purpose. The commission is comprised of 4 Zion residents. Each of us brings a variety of strengths, knowledge, and skill set. I was elected chairperson because of my particular level of experience. I have been in operational leadership my entire career. I have worked in many industries, including several years in the animal care industry. I was the general manager of a large luxury dog boarding facility, and I also managed a large veterinary hospital. Currently, I'm a regional operations director for a large national franchise, and every day is my job to assess protocol, policies, procedures, and look for ways to improve systems. In addition to my business experience, I have been a lifelong animal advocate. I have personally fostered dozens of dogs. I have volunteered hundreds, if not thousands, of hours working with many different rescues. Not only fostering, but I've run intake, I've done transport, I've created and executed successful fundraising campaigns and events. In 2017, I traveled to a poverty-stricken town on the outskirts of Buenos Aires, Argentina, and I spent a month volunteering my time in a dilapidated shelter that had over 500 dogs and cats, all in desperate need of care. While I may have accomplished a lot in my career, nothing means more to me than animal welfare, and I will always champion and fight for the four-leggeds that can't speak for themselves. In addition to their individual strengths, Chris, Madeline, and Noel and I will bring the same level of passion and integrity to the commission moving forward. Some of the people in the room may know the challenges that the Zion Animal Control was facing. There was not a one-and-done type solution to making improvements. It was important to have all the commission members living here in Zion, as we will be the ears and eyes, and we will have boots on the ground in our city every day. We will be able to prioritize our efforts and focus on the initiatives that are most critical. However, we can't do this alone. We will continue to look for help and resources from anyone that is willing to support the initiatives that will keep our pets safe and provide education to our residents. We believe that when you choose to bring a pet into your family, you have a moral and a legal obligation to keep your animals safe. But we do know and understand that sometimes animals get away from their families. Our goal is to return any lost pet back to their family as quickly as possible. But we need our residents to do their part as well. Please make sure your pets are microchipped and are wearing ID tags. If they are chipped, our Zion Community Service officers will be able to get your pet back to you as soon as possible. Chief Dumian is in the process of creating an electronic database that will streamline matching missing animals with their families. He's also ordered door hangers that will be an additional tool the officers can use to notify families. These tools are just two of the improvements that will make a world of difference. In closing, all pets deserve happy and healthy homes, and we want to thank Chief Dumian and Commissioner McDowell for the steps you've taken thus far to make sure the city is doing everything they can for our human, canine, and feline citizens. On behalf of the commission members, we'll be meeting monthly, and we are equally eager to do our part in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Item number 6 is citizens' comments. We have 3 people that would like to address the council. I'm going to go over the city policies on open meetings and citizens' comments. I think most of you were here the last time, but I'll go over them again. According to the Open Meetings Act, any person shall be permitted an opportunity to address public officials under the rules established and recorded by the public body. Public participation in meetings of the city council shall be permitted in accordance with the provisions of this section. Individuals desiring to address the city councils shall sign in on the provided form prior to the meeting. Individuals shall be called upon to address the city council by the presiding officer. Prior to speaking, the individual shall state his or her name and the municipality of residence for the record. Such comments by any one person shall not exceed 3 minutes. Citizens shall not be able to yield unused time to another speaker. The fire chief shall serve as the timekeeper during citizens' comments. The presiding officer shall have the right at any time to stop all citizens' comments when in the presiding officer's discretion such input violates provisions of these rules or is otherwise irrelevant, repetitious, or disruptive. If numerous persons wish to speak on a single topic, the city council may recognize a specified number of individuals who wish to speak in favor of or against or wish to make general comments regarding the issue. The city council shall not be required to allow every person who wishes to address the council to do so. Any person who is not able to speak during citizens' comments shall be allowed and encouraged to present their views to the city council in writing or at a future meeting. Members of the public shall not make inappropriate or offensive comments at a city council meeting and are expected to comply with the rules. All comments must be civil in nature. Any person who engages in threatening, slanderous, or disorderly behavior when addressing the city council shall be deemed out of order by the presiding officer, and his or her time to address the council at said meeting shall end. An individual who violates these rules may be removed from the meeting at the discretion of the presiding officer. First is Sue Davis.
Good evening.
Good evening.
First, I want to congratulate the Animal Control Committee that's been started. I had offered to both Mike McDowell, Commissioner McDowell, Lisa, and Noel that our committee was willing to work with them to help improve the treatment of the animals here in Zion. As far as microchipping, if animal control had been microchipping the dogs as required by law that were returned to owners in the first place, that recent husky that was just sent to Lake County, Commissioner McDowell, correct me if I'm wrong, you did say that if you guys identified owners before they were transferred to Lake County, that the dogs would be returned to owners first, correct? When the dog was posted, and this was the third time, huskies are known escape artists. I heard that these owners did have a fenced-in yard. This dog was able to scale the fence. Animal Control had had this dog twice before. After the first time it was returned to owner, the second time the community again had to point out that was the same dog that you guys had a week ago. If it had been microchipped like it was required by law, that wouldn't have been a question. The third time you guys got the dog, again, I had pointed out that's the same dog you guys had before. The dog was not returned to owners, it was transferred to Lake County. If you look at the site, the owner on Thursday had seen her dog on the lost pet site, said she had called the Zion police and she was told that a husky was not there. So she assumed that the husky was not picked up. She didn't get any information about the husky being transferred over to Lake County. So that could have been avoided. We had 3 meetings with the police commissioner, the chief of police. We had brought in Janet Graves from Spay and Stay to give information regarding a trap and release program, which would help with the excessive amount of feral cats and stray cats that the city has. We brought in our last meeting, which was September 14th, we brought in Megan Albright from Black Dog Rescue to go ahead and give information on rescues. During these 3 meetings, we had offered information to help the city have an animal control that would not cost the city, have any cost to the city whatsoever. All that, as far as I was concerned, all of our information that was given, it was kind of poo-pooed off. Waukegan Animal Control, they do not cost the city nothing. As a matter of fact, they probably bring in more revenue, which also helps pay for the microchips. They get microchips $5 a piece. When they get a dog, it's returned to owner. The owners charge $15 for that microchip. So they're able to buy more microchips for more dogs. Same thing with, they had a parvo problem back in Waukegan. They would pay $5 for the parvo shots. They offered distemper, $5 for that. They would charge the people getting the shots $10. We had heard recently that the city had contracted with Lake County. Lake County Animal Control is not free. We thought the city was in a deficit. Again, we had tried to help. That's
time.
Okay.
Next is Carrie Clark.
Good evening. My name is Carrie Clark from Beach Park. And I just want to bring up to your attention a statement that was made on November 12th by Mike McDowell and shared on social media by the city of Zion. That number 4 on that agenda that you guys spoke of, it says a fundraiser was held on September 8th by an organization called Cause for Paws to benefit Zion Animal Control. However, we haven't been given any details on any funds raised, and no funds have been distributed to animal control. First of all, Cause for Paws is not an organization. It's just a fundraiser that I do annually that I'm responsible for, that I've done the last 11 years. Mike, you were told, along with the police chief, Megan Albright, Noel, and Sue, that the money raised was not going to be given to you guys directly, if you recall, in the meeting, but it was going to be controlled and distributed by our committee at the time. You were also told how much was raised. Do you not recall that?
How much was raised?
Yeah, we discussed that at the meeting with police chief, again, Sue and Megan Albright. We told you how the funds that were raised? Okay, so that was discussed at the meeting after Cause for Paws. We also discussed from the very beginning that we were going to be purchasing the outdoor runs. Remember that from the very first meeting? That was the whole reason that we wanted to do the outdoor runs for one side of animal control. So we also discussed making a wish list for the balance, but we were abruptly dismissed from attending any future meetings, which made it impossible to achieve that goal. The balance of the funds are still being held in escrow and will be dispersed under direction of the original committee, myself, Sue Davis, and Charlie Burleson. So I'm asking that number 4 on your agenda be stricken or amended to reflect the facts, because we've already discussed that in meetings. So the statement is not only false, but it puts myself and my fundraiser Cause for Paws in a bad light. So I appreciate apology. That's all I have to address.
Charlie Burleson, please. Charlie Burleson.
Charlie is not able to attend. Can I just add that for the balance of that, we are going to do a microchip clinic. Sue was going to address the rest of that, but she couldn't finish her statement. So, I mean, that's really all I need to address.
Okay. Anybody have any comments? Any response? How much money was raised?
How much money was raised?
$3,000. We told you that at the meeting.
$3,000?
Yeah. I mean, do you not recall that at the meeting? We discussed that, Mike.
I guess what I meant is I didn't get a report of the contributions made, funds raised, or anything along those lines. And I guess I don't recall. I know you said the money was in escrow, but I don't recall what the parameters were for distributing those funds.
Well, like I said, we had a wish list. Remember, we were going to continue to discuss the wish list, but we didn't know we were going to be booted off the committee. So, you know, it kind of left us out.
Yeah, I guess I'm sorry to feel that way, because I really do appreciate all that you've done. You brought to the council's attention, to our police department's attention, some issues that needed to be corrected. And I think from that moment on, we've actually been working on that.
Right.
And you've given us some good help. We felt that it was best to work with our own residents.
Yeah, and that's fine. I'm just addressing what you put on number 4, because it was totally false, Mike. I mean, we told you, I mean, you were there. We told you how much was raised. We told you we were doing a wish list. We told you
We requested want and a need list.
we didn't get that.
And it was for the animals and animal control. And do you recall asking for a new truck for animal control?
I think that our animal control officer put together a list. Did you get a copy of that list?
We never got a list.
And in a truck, we were holding the money, so it directly impacted the animals directly. It was the run. I talked about purchasing those runs from day one, so the animals couldn't be cooped up all day long. They had a place to go in and out. So that was discussed from day one. So we did discuss that, and we did disclose the amount of money. So I'm just asking that number 4 be amended, you know, to the facts.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, also, we had discussed in that very last meeting that we had, that we had not seen any improvements with animal control. There was still no vet contract. What was happening to those injured or sick animals is up for grabs. There was no vet contract, no dead animal contract.
Well, I'm sorry, that's not actually true, because
Really?
as long as our animal control officer was working for the city, I think the last 14 years, we've had regular inspections of that facility. And part of the inspection process is to list veterinarian services. And veterinarian services have been listed. The reports that I've seen from the Department of Agriculture that have done those inspections have listed the Winthrop Harbor Animal Hospital as our veterinarian service. And we're not limited to that service. We could actually ask other veterinarians to help, but that's the veterinarian service on record that we provide in those reports.
But in the parking lot, you came out and apologized and admitted that you were corrected that you guys were shooting the dogs. So you were not using a vet contract. You weren't using vet services. The Tribune reporter was standing next to me when you made that apology. So vet services were not used. I got a call from the police department, I'll look up the date, regarding, they had got a call that night regarding a 3-day-old kitten. The sergeant called the animal control officer who told them, drop the kitten off at animal control. Well, the sergeant went ahead and told the police officer to go ahead and call us. I went ahead and picked up the kitten, and I took the kitten to Fat Cat Rescue. So vet services have not been utilized.
Okay, I guess I'm going to ask that we proceed with the meetings. We're going to get back and forth on what somebody's doing and what somebody's not doing, and I'm just going to move on at the meeting. Thank you for your comments.
Maybe I'll just say, Mayor, that we are moving forward with Lake County Animal Control, and they'll provide all of those services for us. So I think that's a real improvement for the city.
Is there a cost to the city? Excuse me. Please, I'm asking Commissioner McDowell, is there a cost to the city?
Actually, it's less than what our contract was for Orphans of the Storm. So we're not charged for picking up any dogs. We're only charged for cats, and that is $35 or? Yeah, $35 for cats. So daily pickup transfer of dogs is free. Pickup of injured dogs or cats is free. Pickup of stray biting animals, including wildlife, is free. Removal of wildlife high rabies incidents from inside homes and apartments, which is something we didn't provide before, is free. Licensed veterinarian on staff is free. Citations to owners for pickup are handled by Lake County Code, and it's free to the city. Educational programs are provided, animal bite reporting and prevention, animal cruelty and neglect investigations, and proper and humane care of animals. So all those services are free to the city, except for cats. Cats cost $35.
Okay, thank you, Commissioners. Item number 7 on the agenda is the consent agenda. Item 7A is approved, excuse me, would the clerk please read the consent agenda?
Approval of minutes of a regular meeting held on November 6, 2018 at 7 p.m. Approval but not release of closed session minutes of a meeting held on November 6, 2018 at 8:08 p.m. Bills, vouchers 130718 through 130831 drawn on Huntington National Bank, total $542,877.22.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
A motion?
Second.
And a second. Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item number 8 is consider passing resolution as follows. 8A is supplemental resolution for improvement under the Illinois Highway Code -2017 FAU project, Lorelei Drive, per Director Roberts.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Commissioners. Attached is a supplementary resolution for the improvement under Illinois Highway Code. During the course of the 2017 FAU project, we encountered additional construction costs. The resolution before you is an authorization from the city to utilize an additional $7,355.32 from the motor fuel tax funds. Approval is required by IDOT to finalize the project documentation prior to the city receiving any reimbursements. Staff requests and recommends approval of this resolution.
Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll move to approve the supplemental resolution for improvement under the Illinois Highway Code.
We have a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there discussion? What was the total cost of this project?
That total cost on the project was $1.2 million, which FAU, the feds paid 80% of that.
Right.
This was an increase on our MFT side prior to us being reimbursed $60,000 for engineering costs.
Is the $7,000, is that our 20% of?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item 8B is Community Development Block Grant Funds for Assistance for Sidewalk Replacement and Installation of Handicap Ramps for Director Roberts.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Commissioners. Attached is a resolution that the city is required to pass for submittal of an application for the 2019 Community Development Block Grant funding. Staff is seeking grant assistance for sidewalk replacement and installation of ADA ramps at various locations throughout the city. Staff requests and recommends approval of this resolution. We're looking at receiving $80,000 on this grant.
Is there a motion?
Move to approve the 2019 CDBG resolution.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item 9 is consider passing ordinances as follows. 9A is authorizing execution of agreement by and between the City of Zion and Lake County Health Department and Community Health Center for Animal Care and Control Program, second reading for Commissioner McDowell.
Mayor and Commissioners, this is the contract with Lake County Animal Control that you had at our last meeting, and it's the second reading, so I'm going to make a motion that we approve it.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item 9B is to enter into a ground lease agreement between Flat Rock Holding LLC and the City of Zion for certain property located at 2809 Damascus per Mayor Hill. What you have before you is a ground lease agreement, and this is between the city and Flat Rock Holding. Flat Rock Holding, if you will recall, is we go back about 4 years with them. They are the company that wishes to build I got to get this right, medicinal cannabis cultivation center in Zion. It has been, there are 21 licenses for cultivation throughout the state. 20 of them have been awarded. This is the only one in the state that hasn't been awarded. It was awarded to a different company. Flat Rock Holdings has been in court for 4 years, and we're anticipating that there will be a decision. Well, it's my understanding that they've continued, and they will be making their pleading in December, and then it'll be taken under consideration, and so we should hear something in January. And if they are successful in their lawsuit, they will be building the facility here in Zion. And this is the ground lease. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item 9C is extending a special use permit for medical cannabis cultivation center in the G1 General Industrial Zoning District for property located east of Deborah Avenue at 2809 Damascus per Mayor Hill. What you have in front of you is the special use permit, and it lays out the conditions of our agreement with Flat Rock Holdings. And if you will see the benefit to the city, if this does happen, is that the city will receive 3% of gross wholesale dollars from any sales that Flat Rock Holding would have on medicinal marijuana or any marijuana that is sold out of there. If it's legalized in Illinois, the expectation is that I think there's an expectation with the new governor that there's a good possibility that marijuana will be legalized for recreational use very shortly. We will get 3% of that, of their gross sales, which could be a tremendous amount of money for the city. There's also a provision in here that the Flat Rocks Holdings will also pay the city up to $300,000 a year to establish a foundation, a non-for-profit Corporation and its charitable missions, which shall be for the distribution to other not-for-profit entities or units of local government for the benefit of the residents of the city of Zion. So there, where the city would get the 3%, plus there'll be a foundation or a charitable distribution of up to $300,000 for other it could be youth basketball, youth football, reading programs in the schools, or whatever the board would wish to award those. There'll be 3 people on the board. One of the individuals is appointed by Flat Rock. The other individual is appointed by the city. The third individual would be appointed that the city and Flat Rock agree upon. If the city and Flat Rock could not come to an agreement, the city has the ability to appoint the third person to that board, and then they would make grants to the community. That's basically the gist of it. Is there a motion to approve extending the special use permit? This would be till July 19th of 2019. June 19th, I'm sorry. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Have a motion?
Second.
And a second. Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item 10 is discussion, authorization, and approval. 10A is tabulation of bids, sale of surplus property, per Director Ianson.
Thank you, Your Honor, Commissioners. On November 12, 2018, the city had a bid opening for the sale of surplus real estate. We received one bid for 1529 33rd Street from Scott Nyko in the amount of $1,275. Staff recommends accepting the bid for $1,275.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we approve.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll. Oh, go
I was
ahead.
going to say, Director Ianson, how many more of these properties do we have?
4.
4 just additional properties? Okay.
No further discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item 10B is request permission to re-advertise for bids for the city facility cleaning and maintenance service. I don't know who wants to take this one. Director Ianson?
There was an error in the bid process. We're requesting that the council reject all bids and give us permission to re-advertise.
Is there a motion to re-advertise for bids?
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. For discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item 10C is consider approval of a plan to address May 1, 2019 to April 30th, 2020 budget deficit for Mayor Hill. At the last meeting we went over a number of issues that were associated with reducing or eliminating the deficit that the city will be experiencing in the fiscal year 2019 to 2020. A number of these items we needed more time to talk about, and some of you had requested more time to think about. I've had a discussion with City Administrator Nabel, and the ones that we kind of said, do we want a yes, a no, or a maybe on these? I'd like to talk about tonight, and I'd like to get a motion, if we can have some consensus on which ones we want to cut. In order to get this done in a timely manner, Mr. Nabel is going to have to, we're going to have to start deciding on some of these so that he can adjust the numbers to the issues above it, and find out exactly what the amount is that we have to cut and what we will have to take place through layoffs. So, I guess I'd like to start on, there's a $35,000 item and we reduce overtime for alley plowing. Is there a discussion on this? And I'd like to make a decision tonight if we're going to do that or we're not going to do it, so Mr. Nabel can get his sharpen his pencil and go to work on some of these things.
I'm a yes on that.
Yes, yes?
Yes.
Okay, is there a motion? I'd like to get a motion.
You want to
Okay.
just do it?
Okay.
I'd like to do them one at a time,
Okay,
in case
okay.
there's some you like, some you don't like, we'll take them one at a time.
All right, I'll make a motion that we proceed with the plan to reduce overtime for alley plowing.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll. Oops.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye.
Mayor, maybe we should just say that doesn't mean the alleys won't be plowed. That just means we won't have overtime charged to plow the alleys.
Correct.
Yeah.
Do you need more time? Spaces, that gives you off guard here.
I'll let you know.
Okay, the next is going for clerical in the finance department from 1 full-time to 2 part-time for a savings of $41,036. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Commissioner donation of 10%, $9,950.
Yes.
Yes.
Is there a
Yes.
motion?
So moved.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion?
Will this be taken out of our check, or do we have to
think
physically give a
You have to
donation
fit,
back
you
to
have
the
to fit,
city?
our wages are set years
By
ahead of
statute.
time.
Yeah.
So what we'll have to do is write a check back to the city for this amount, for 10%. We have a motion and a second?
Yes.
Did we? Okay, is there discussion, more discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. And this one, I know this is not a popular thing to do, but we need to talk about the property tax levy. We are going to have to adopt our levy in the second meeting in December. So we have to give direction to Mr. Nabel on whether we intend to go to the maximum levy. If we levy the maximum amount of money, it would mean an additional $153,108 to what we've taken in this year.
I supported this at the last meeting, and I would move to support this again.
Is there a second?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion?
Yeah, this is not something that I'm going to support. I think that we got a strong message from the taxpayers through the home rule referendum. And I think the main issue that the taxpayers were concerned about was any kind of a property tax increase or any kind of a tax increase. And this is something out of the playbook of other taxing bodies to raise the maximum amount every time. And I'd really like to move away from that. So I'm not going to vote in favor of it.
I understand when this was presented the last time, Commissioner McDowell, I was on the fence about it. And we keep kicking things down the road, as we say, kicking the can down the road, whether it's in increase in permits, in fees, or whatever the city needs to do to be able to operate. And we will not be using this in a frivolous manner. So my challenge with it, my challenge with not doing it is just, at some point, it's going to happen. We either have to pass some of these costs on to our citizens, or we're going to continue to have to reduce services to the point, as with the failing of a home rule that allowed us some latitude to do some things, that we're going to be in a tough spot. We haven't taken that position with the levy, I think, since I've been on city council. So it was a very difficult decision for me to come to this. But at some point, we've got to stop. We've got to stop bleeding. And they say sometimes the best way to get out of a hole is stop digging.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion?
Mayor, if I can add, I just want to get out what the actual estimate would be of that. That would mean a maximum, going to the maximum would increase our tax levy by about 2.8% considering new construction. We'll be discussing all the specifics in a public hearing at the December 18th meeting. but there'd be about a 2.8% increase in the total tax levy to $7.5 million. That would mean an increase on a $100,000 home of about $18 a year.
Okay. We have a motion and a second?
Go ahead.
Well, yeah, go anytime. Just
I mean, we're not voting on the tax levy right now.
no, we're voting on
What
he
David
needs to
can work
proceed with.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So I guess that's how I'm looking at it also. Maybe I'm not inclined to vote for this. I could move over to the maybe category. That will give us time until the second meeting in December to actually make the vote. But there'd have to be an awful lot of convincing for me to raise the levy to the max.
Okay.
So just so that you know, that's my perspective on it.
Okay. We have a motion and a second and discussion. Further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
No.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. The next item is balance bill ambulance calls, and that's a increase of $76,000 to $80,000.
David, can we get this corrected on this sheet? Because it still says 40,000.
Yes, I mentioned it last time, and I forgot to correct it on the copy, but the original estimate was 40,000. We got confirmation from Andres that it'd be about between 76 and 86,000 actually collected.
And David, could you explain what this does for those that might not have been at our last city council meeting when we were talking about this?
Sure. I mean, you can chime in if I speak wrong, but currently what we do is every time there's an ambulance call, whether it's basic life safety or advanced life safety, we bill per our ordinance the rates for that service to insurance companies, and then currently we do not balance bill residents for anything that's not collected on behalf of the insurance. What this would be doing is actually saying whatever insurance didn't cover, we would then send the balance to the resident, and that would be their responsibility for the services at that point.
For an ambulance call, you explain this, and I'm trying to think about this. You explain that what it costs every time we send out an ambulance.
So I'll help you with this. So if we do just a basic life support call, our standard charge is about $1,400.
Okay.
If it's an advanced life support 1, which is using some medications, using different skills, that bumps up to $1,600. If it's an ALS 2, which is pretty much using all the skills we have, all the meds we have, multiple doses, so on and so forth, that's $1,800. Plus we charge $20 a mile, which starts at the home to the hospital. So those are our set fees. They're the same for resident as they are for non-resident. That's kind of the growing trend in the billing industry. What happens is the patient's Medicare or Medicaid will always be billed first. Whatever Medicare or Medicaid does not pay, it then goes to the patient's insurance company. Whatever the patient's insurance company does not pay, for a non-resident would right now go to the resident or to the non-resident themselves, the patient themselves. If they don't pay that, then it goes to collections after several times, several letters they send out. Currently, residents, we stop at whatever insurance doesn't pay, Medicare, Medicaid, we're done. What we're proposing is following the same model we do for non-residents. So if insurance doesn't pay, then the balance of that bill will go to the resident. If the resident doesn't pay the invoice or the bill, eventually they'll be sent to collections as well.
Okay.
Now the caveat we have in there is if a resident has a hardship, we do this for non-residents also, they have the ability to go to an attorney. There's a letter that an attorney will draft as a hardship letter, and then we as the city have the ability to either drop it down to a payment plan, reduce the amount they owe. And we've done that in the past, but it takes a few steps to get there first.
Okay. The other part of this that I was really curious about, Mr. Nabel, you talked about this in a past city council meeting in terms of the tax situation and what portion, kind of a ratio of the taxes that the portion of city taxes
and the cost of ambulance charges. Could you
Sure.
explain that again?
We looked at this originally saying, you know, we were separating out residents to non-residents because residents pay taxes here. So we said, okay, there's some sort of break for balance billing that, but as costs continue to go on, you know, if a resident pays, let's say, has $6,000 tax bill, the city collects about $900. And that's not enough to even cover the cost of one ambulance visit, or one ambulance trip, you know, half of that, much less police, street, you know, plowing, all the other costs. So that $900 just can't continue to sustain the level of services without, to be able to write off or not collect that balance anymore.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just think you do a better job at explaining it than I do, so thank you.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion that we begin balance billing.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion?
Yeah, I want to explain it, because the first time this came around, I voted against it. But this is a service that we're providing for residents, and I think we have to start doing it.
I guess I'd like to, I'm going to speak against it and vote against it. I just think that everybody pays taxes, and everybody pays property taxes. And I just think that many of these ambulance calls, I think, where we're transporting somebody, they happen to be, it's because they're in serious shape. And I just think that this is piling on. I'd rather raise the property taxes or have a sales tax increase and spread it along to everybody in the community than just nail somebody really hard here with a $1,400 or $1,800 bill, and then go to collection for it. And it's just, John, I know what you've said that in the past, and I do give a lot of credence to what you've said. And John's pointed out that if we were in a business, if we were, you know, a hardware store or something, and the prices of the prices go up to the merchandise that we're receiving and that we're selling, they raise the price, and people have to pay that. And John's made that correlation to our services, that our price has gone up. It's more expensive for us to do these things all the time. So we shouldn't feel, we should pass it on to our customers. But just this one, I just have a tough time with it, because like I said, I feel like we're piling on when somebody's, they're down and out. Some people don't have great insurance. They get clobbered for a heart attack or something, and I'm gonna vote against this one, and I know I'll probably with it.
Well, your perspective and point is well taken. I think one of the issues that we talked about with this is the amount of calls that the EMS units respond to, where it's just a ride for them to get from Zion to Waukegan. And so it's hard to charge for that if I'm correct. So we're passing that cost on to our residents in my estimation, and we get several of those calls, and I know we had talked about the prospect of tracking those better.
No, we already passed that separately.
Right, that was a separate issue.
Okay.
Well, that was, to his defense, that was our invalid assist.
Right.
But to answer his question, the safest way to say everything, everybody has their own level of emergency. We've transported people to the hospital that simply have a cold.
Right, and we, not just transporting, but we respond because someone needs assistance getting from a chair to a bed.
Correct. Everybody has their level of emergency.
And when they call, we have to respond. We can't, but we are, if I understand it, they get 3 chances now for, what did you call them?
Well, that's simply the invalid assist. That's lifting off the floor back into a wheelchair from wheelchair to wheelchair.
But there were 3 of them that you said were when it's not necessary for them to be calling us, and I thought they were gonna get.
First 3 are free, and then we start charging. Correct.
Okay, right. But, so that's a little bit different. And John, I know that everybody's emergency is different, because I listened to a 911 call where somebody called that there were too many mosquitoes and she was out in her backyard and they were flying up her nose, and she wanted us to 911 call and get somebody out to help her. So I know there are some crazy
Happens more
calls.
than you
But
think.
anyway, I just wanted to let you know before call for the vote that I'm going to vote against this one. So we have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion?
Well, all we're saying is that we're still including this in the mix of things to do. We're not actually passing the ordinance
These aren't
tonight.
being enacted, no.
No,
they're
No,
not.
we are-
being acted. We're
This
just
is just,
saying,
We are given, but we're
giving him permission to keep this in the list of items.
yes, and that he's going to proceed that way. So I think we have to, what we're voting on tonight is a fairly serious and accurate picture of what we're going to be
Because
voting
otherwise-
on in the future.
Otherwise, we have to pull about $80,000 out of something else here.
Yes, I understand that.
I suppose there's no way to really know, I guess it would be level of insurance that people carry that would determine how much of a balance there would be.
Yeah, basically I asked our billing vendor, based on our history, what his approximation was if we balanced bill, and that's how we came up with that range.
Did he give you a per
Based on the
call?
number of calls?
No, not per call. He just looks at our average over the years, and he said you'd probably pull in another 76,000, and then if you went to collections, that's another 10. That's how he came up with the 76 to 86.
Right, but what we don't know is if we go to that, is the individual after insurance, are they going to get billed for $1,000 when they pay it? Or are they
Right,
gonna
that
get-
just depends on the insurance.
Or 200, okay.
Right.
All right. All right, we have a motion and a second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
No. Next one is 10% increase in permits and license charges for $69,500.
I think we covered this last time. This includes vehicles, stickers, everything across the board, correct?
Yes.
Yes. I'll move to add that to the list to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion?
I'm not in favor of it,
I'm not
but
thrilled
I'm,
with it.
I'm not in favor of it. That's all I'll say.
Okay. Further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
No?
Mayor Hill?
Aye. 10% increase in fines and tickets for $55,000. I wish I could make a motion.
I'll make a motion for that. I mean, if there's a violation, then yes, I would agree with that increase.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye.
Mayor Hill, can I go back for a second and make a point on the permits and license charges?
I'm not sure. Can you do that? We'll let you.
You don't have to.
We're gonna
I don't want to break any,
We're going to follow Albert's rules of order.
I don't want to break any protocol.
No, I'm only kidding.
I think one of the issues when you start talking about license and permits, we also have a lot of nonprofit organizations in our community that pay half of their fees, and that's by law, if I'm correct.
No.
The churches?
It's by our ordinance.
It's by our ordinance,
Local
excuse me.
ordinance.
So, again, I'm just concerned about this trend that we've had over the years. I think we're having a discussion about rates have not been raised in certain areas for about a 10-year period. And we keep talking about a deficit. We keep talking about things that are going to come that haven't arrived just as of yet. So at some point, we've got to cover operation costs, and we have to cover our, behinds, I won't say it the other word, with this. So while I'm opposed to some of this, people will think city council members, maybe we make a lot of money. We don't. We are part of the community that also pays taxes. And ideally, in a perfect world, we wouldn't want to raise any kind of taxes that harm our citizens, but we've done it to our detriment for so many years and long before I was on the city council. So that is my reason in looking at it from a business standpoint, are we going to run it, are we going to run the city, our city, like a business instead of a charity? That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
The next item is eliminate the part of the city subsidy for Nostalgia Days and Jubilee Days by $40,000. The city would still contribute the money out of the hotel motel tax, but any police overtime and staff time associated with those events would be eliminated to the tune of $40,000. Is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And a second. Is there discussion?
So what that means is that we won't be providing police. What else would we provide besides that?
We provide.
ESDA wouldn't be, those are all volunteers?
There's no cost with ESDA.
Currently, these are city events.
Yeah.
We'd be looking at, most likely the chamber at this point, is what it looks like to completely take over this event, just like Dungeon of Doom and the Beulah Park Trail. I can't remember, Beulah Park Boogie or something like it. Any private events could apply for a hotel motel tax grant for promotion and tourism that doesn't come out of the general fund, but the $10,000 subsidy in the police.
And don't they already get some hotel motel funds?
Yes, that's not included in here.
Yeah, this is just the
general.
This is just
fund.
the overtime that we would be giving to police officers working those events.
Right. Promotional. There's a $10,000 promotional out of economic development, and then staff time and overtime.
So we're not canceling we're not eliminating.
We're not
these
eliminating
events.
the events. We will still have a contract with the Chamber of Commerce to run Nostalgia Days and Jubilee Days, and I believe that contract is worth $36,000 a year.
Yes, I believe so.
I believe it's $36,000 a year.
Back.
And then it's just that they're going to have to.
So if they raise more money, then they could contract with the police department to provide a level of security at that event.
Right.
Right. And it would be at the standard special duty rates that we have established and things like that.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. The next item is to remove bulbs from, this is approximately every other streetlight in the city. Is that correct? For a savings of $65,625 in electric bills. Is there a motion?
Every third.
About a third.
Okay, a third. Well, that's better. A third. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve that plan to reduce the lighting for the city to reduce the cost of electricity.
Have a motion?
Second.
And a second. Is there discussion?
Yeah.
Clerk?
I originally said yes to this when we talked about it the last time, and my biggest concern and why I'm a maybe now is simply security issues that we've talked about within the city, and the uptick of crimes that we've had, which is proportionally larger in a city of our population. So I'm on the fence about that one.
Does it have to be, linear, like every third bulb, or can we identify areas where we actually want more light and areas that we don't need more light?
We can reassess that.
Yeah.
I just, when we were initially looking at it, I just said a third for the cost. Roughly right now, we're paying $200,000 in electrical costs and an additional $50,000 to $60,000 in maintenance costs. So it's almost $260,000. Reducing some of that by turning some of the lights off is where we're looking at getting some of that savings. I still have to contact ComEd because we don't own all the lights within the city. We pay for that maintenance of those lights. But some of them are ComEd, so we'll have to work with them to reduce those, but we can assess in different areas.
I like Commissioner McDowell. I think that's an excellent suggestion when you start talking about doing it. Maybe perhaps a needs assessment in different areas where we're trying to be more mindful of maybe where incidents have taken place on a consistent basis.
And the other thing about all of these cuts and decisions that we're making here, we do have some potential of bringing revenue into the city. And if that happens, then we can restore the lights, we could, restore some of these things that we're cutting. Correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
You know, if
So it's not like doom and gloom. I mean,
well, it's pretty doom and gloomy. I mean, I don't mean to be doom and gloomy, but even if this medical marijuana cannabis thing goes through, I mean, at this time of year, they're not going to be able to start construction till the spring, and they're not going to get done for a couple of months. And then if they have a grow, and it's just.
I'm talking about, in a few years' time, if we get some revenue from the nuclear fuel, or if we have the more industry come, I mean, there's the possibility that these things can be restored. It's not like.
Right, there is that possibility, but I'm not going to sit here as a mayor and say, there's light at the end of the tunnel right now, because, and I've said this before to people here, that the hospital addition was an $85 million addition to the hospital. $35 million of it was real property. $35 million is real property. The other $50 million is personal property with beds and MRIs and all those things that go into a hospital. But $35 million, that's a big building. That's a huge addition to our community. And the city's going to get about $300,000 a year from that. Now, they're going to pay about $2.5 million a year for what they've built, but we get $300,000. So when people say, we'll bring in a business, or we'll bring in we need to open a Dairy Queen, it's like, are you kidding me? I know we need to open a Dairy Queen and we need to attract businesses, but when a $35 million addition to our community brings in $300,000 for city operations, there's some doom and gloom here. I don't know. And I know nobody likes cutting these things. I don't like taking street lights out or not contributing to nostalgia days or Jubilee days. It's been here for how many years? But here we sit because some decisions that were made years ago, and we're stuck with them, and we get blamed for them.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
I think with going back to the bulb removal, I think we'll try to do it as strategically as possible to try to minimize the impact on the public. There might be some lights in remoter areas that really aren't necessary, so that'll help. We can reduce those. So we'll try to like with everything, we're going to try to minimize the impact on the public.
Mayor, I'd like to just add one more comment about when we started talking about years ago about adding additional revenue streams, and I heard some of the gasp that came out about the cannabis facility that could be constructed here. And some people don't like, we put in several years ago, we approved the ordinance for the gaming cafes, which didn't agree with some people, but yet that's added $250,000 to $300,000 to our city budget. And I said at that time that if we didn't start thinking outside the box about things that we're trying to do in the city and generate different revenue streams without taxing our residents, that we would be just think where we would be now if we didn't have that revenue coming in. So,
right, because they're paying both property taxes and the gaming tax.
Exactly. So again, sometimes we have to make decisions that aren't popular, but know that we are making those in the best interest, the very best interest of the financial health of our city.
And you're right. We're a darned if we do and darned if we don't, because nobody wants to raise, as you said, Commissioner, we got it loud and clear. Nobody wants their taxes to be increased, and then some people don't want gaming. Some people don't want medical marijuana. If we don't do some of these things, we're not going to pay bills. So we've got to do some of these things. Anyway, We have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
That's just for the bulbs?
Yes.
I say no.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Remove ESDA salaries.
Tough. Appreciate the volunteers of ESDA. I wonder if we could reach a compromise and just say remove half of the salaries of ESDA. We've got two positions, the director and co-director. What if we just eliminate the co-director's salary?
I don't think we want to do that right now.
All right, then I'd say both of them then. That's a yes for me and a motion.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second.
It's tough.
Yeah, I know, it's timing. They don't know.
When are these going to be implemented?
Well, that's the other thing, that the question that we had is, do you want us to implement these right now? Or do you want us to implement these come May 1st? Because if we implement these right now, we'll have additional savings for, well, we'll save a quarter of this amount probably, because we still got, what do we got, 5 months left in the fiscal year? So we'll save just a little, we'll save 5/12 of the budget, of this amount that we have here. But this isn't public yet. That's, I probably shouldn't have said.
It is now.
Yeah, I know, it is now. That was my bad.
So nobody's
Can we
talked?
just, can we just table that one for,
Nobody has talked with ESDA about it?
no,
Yeah, I'd agree. I'm going to,
let's just
did
table it.
anybody second the motion?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm going to retract the motion then.
and.
I'll second retracting.
You're
You're-
withdrawing
you're
your motion
withdrawing
and
your
your
second.
second?
Yes.
Sir, okay.
All right. Eliminate chipping, I think that's just that's 1,200 hours. There's no actual dollar savings, but it would provide an opportunity, it would free up 1,200 hours.
We would divert crews to focusing on patching streets and alleys, which is, I feel, and I said this at the last meeting when we discussed this, and in discussions with Director Roberts, that we need these guys patching potholes, is what we really need them to do. This is an additional service to the residents. They still can have yard waste and brush picked up by Advanced, as long as it's bundled correctly. So they're losing an extra service that we were providing. So we're just refocusing our efforts.
Okay, is there a motion?
I'll move to eliminate the chipping program.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Eliminate mosquito spraying. $4,000. It's not a big savings, but it's $4,000.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion
A second.
and a second. Is there discussion? The person's gonna be calling 911 a lot now. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye, we gotta skip the second one, the next one too, because I haven't talked to Paula about that.
Does she have a copy of this in front of her?
Yeah, she does. Yeah. We're looking at eliminating legal fees and having our legal counsel only come to half the meetings, or when requested, so we'll be looking at that also. And I have to ask a question, would we save money if we eliminated the street sweeping? And ask people to, if there's a drain in front of their home, that they clean it themselves?
No, don't go there.
Don't go there?
No, no.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Never
don't think
mind.
we want to do that.
Okay, never mind. I won't go there. Okay, so that's where we're at. I guess the next question is, do we want to do these things immediately, or do we want to wait till May? Because you look like you're looking at plowing, clerical, that's in a position to be hiring right away.
Well, some of them we don't have a choice. I mean, we have to wait for the tax levy.
Right, but we don't have to wait. We can increase the fees and permits right now. We can just remove bulbs or try and get that done as quickly as possible. And the ones that we can do now, do you want to do now, or do you want to wait until May?
Yeah, I think we should do them now.
Okay, David, we'll get department heads together and figure out what we can do now.
Yeah, we'll have to draft ordinances for fee changes
Okay.
and things of that nature, so it's gonna take a little bit of time anyway. So
Right.
if we get it done now, we're still looking at probably a couple months out before implementation, but that will still be some savings.
Okay, I appreciate your patience in the difficult decisions that we have to make, but item number 11 on the agenda is departmental commentary. Does anybody have any department heads have anything they'd like to say? I have something that I'd like to say. It's about Thanksgiving, and first of all, I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and hope you enjoy the holiday with your family. And but I want to express my thanks to the city council members and the department heads and all of you that are here on a regular basis for city council meetings and your involvement with city government. That's very, very important. And I think that our department heads are doing a great job, and all the city employees, I think, are doing the best job that they can with our resources. And I also want to say that often we look at what other people have or what other communities have, and we think, why don't we have that? But I just want to remind everybody just to look at what we do have. This is really a pretty cool community. It's got a wonderful history. It's got some wonderful architecture. It's got great people. And I am truly thankful that I've had the opportunity to be mayor here for a short time. And I want to really express to the commissioners and Paula and Cheryl how thankful I am that we are all working together and we're all in this together. So thank you very much, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Item number 12 is announcements. November 22 and 23, the city offices are closed for the Thanksgiving holiday. December 4th at 7 p.m. there's a Zion City Council meeting. December 18th at 6:15 there'll be a Zion Township Board meeting, and at 7 o'clock a Zion City Council meeting. Item number 13 is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
A second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. We are adjourned. I know. I got me all excited too.
Okay.